How many people here have bought something on Wish, the shopping app? How many people here have never heard of Wish, the shopping app? Raise your hands. This is the best moment of my life. Wish, depending on who you listen to, because it's a private kind of thing, company, is doing anywhere between $3 to $6 billion in revenue. Wish is probably the closest thing to any kind of conceivable threat to Amazon in the world. Wish is doing $3 to $6 billion in sales. They're spending 98% of their money outside of a Los Angeles Lakers patch on the jersey and the McGregor-Mayweather fight. They bought the corner. Outside of those two activations, they were spending 98% of their money on Facebook ads. Wish's founders are engineers from Google that worked on the Google AdWords product. Wish is doing $3 to $6 billion in sales, and more than half of this room, not some fucking random 100 people on the street in London, this room, more than half of the people don't even know what it is. That is the punchline. Thank you. You got your perspective. I just want to be happy. Don't you want to be happy? How many people here are entrepreneurs and run their own business? Raise your hands. So for me, just for my own context. So for me, this group more than anybody is the most interesting because for them, I can comfortably say, every dollar you do not spend on Facebook and Instagram during this era, you'll regret not spending. I can't believe how much I'm spending because what really is the conversation that's not being had in this space is what we all need as brands or entrepreneurs or individuals, which is a lot more content. If you really deeply understand, how many people here are on the media side, like are media practitioners of Facebook? Just raise your hands. So these individuals that just raised their hands, they deeply know that especially when you really know it, that the vulnerability / the opportunity is we need a hell of a lot more content that's contextual to the planning capabilities of the platform. The big aha, the big thing that I would love for people to leave here if it brings them value is understanding that I'm producing 100 pieces of content a day for my brand, and I'm probably 1,000 to 4,000 short of what I should be doing. I failed almost all my classes, but one class that I got A's and B's in consistently was history, and it's really interesting how that's played out in my career. I would implore all of you, if you really want to get an input to what I think is happening here, if this conversation evolves in the next hour and it's valuable, I would implore you to watch the first 100 commercials made for television. The first 100 commercials made for television, which you can widely find on YouTube, were radio ads. They were somebody holding up something or an image, and then a man read a script, and so a radio ad was put and made into a television commercial.
America runs on Bulliver time.
Because we as a creative advertising field in the industry and the businesses hadn't figured out what the television commercial was. To me, the most interesting thing is in 2018, I think most of us agree, we've all accepted that taking a television commercial and putting in your Facebook feed or YouTube, that doesn't work. I think we all kind of got there. But there is a far bigger 301 to that 101 point of view that needs to be talked about, which is, okay, but what does? While we're at the commercial shoot, let's shoot some collateral and use that for Facebook is also a very 101 point of view. If anybody is producing TVC and not producing a hell of a lot more content while they're there, they're already disproportionately behind the reality of the things that we should be doing. Way more importantly to me is, should it be interpreting that spot, or should we be changing out actors and actresses that demographically would be able to be powerful to the people consuming it? Should we be bringing other products and things there that allow us to shoot completely different things? I think we have a very weak creative conversation around the new channels because I think we come with a perspective from the old world. I have empathy to why that is. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they make decisions in a focus group of one. I have never made a business decision in my life based on my own behavior. That is laughable, stupid. and just naive at best and ideologically kind of like, it's not a good idea. And so I'm fascinated by how many people go into rooms and say, Gary, you're right, my 14-year-old daughter uses Instagram. Great, John. You know, this is not about you or your 3 friends or your 17-year-old niece or like what your grandma did yesterday. This is fucking data at scale. This is black and white happened. This is not happening. This isn't coming. 90+% of the Fortune 500 CPG brands are declining in market share. In their marketing behavior, 80% of their spend is either on television or programmatic digital, which is digital 2006. This is not confusing. Meanwhile, Gymshark and Fashion Nova and Lola and Movement watches are going from 0 to 25, 50, 100, 500 million dollars in sales on 100% spend on influencer, Facebook, and Instagram. This is not subjective debate like if a video is funny. This is what's happening in the business world. One of the things I recommend all of you is at least one time in your career, make a fundamental career change and go into an industry with fresh eyes. You will be stunned how smart you will be. I think that was my great advantage. I didn't know. When I started VaynerMedia, I didn't know that media and creative was separate. It was just what I did at Wine Library and the only way I saw the internet work. And so I just built that. It wasn't smart. It was naive and practical. And so my rant here is predicated on one thing. This is in 2019, to even have this conversation is underwhelming. In 2019, to even have this conversation is underwhelming. Like, this has been proven. This is no longer, should we guess? There's countless examples. Now, the problem is, for some people that are in the trenches and have run stuff, is like anything, if you don't play a item right, it won't work. Unbelievable amounts of money have been wasted on Facebook and Instagram because of a million different things. The creative was not strong. The targeting and the creative was not contextual to each other. There's a million different reasons why it's happened. So, you know, the ROI of a piano to me is 0. To Elton John, it's been $1 billion. Like, this is, you know, cool, it works, but now what? I think that Facebook knows this, my points of view on Facebook's best practices creatively is something I fundamentally disagree with because I think it panders to reporting and things of that nature. But back to the creatives in the room, like, you want to win creatively, make something that's good. Like, make something people want to watch. Like, you can't imagine what happens when you make a piece of video content that's really good, that people watch for 2 minutes and 9 seconds, all the way through or 50% of the way through, and then you remarket them with a call to action. You can't imagine. You want to really believe in marketing? Do that. You want to really believe in how marketing works? Let me give you the quickest way you can feel really good at putting your head on a pillow and saying, yeah, this shit actually works. Make a great fucking video, target it properly, get hundreds of thousands of people to see quite a bit of it, and then remarket them for a call to action and watch how many convert. You'll believe in marketing for the rest of your life. It works. It's just that nobody's natively building for that. My big thing is this. I bucket it into 2 groups of people right now. One, the people that work at companies and what they spend their money on, versus 2, the people that have to feed their families with the business's success and what they spend their money on. And when you go look at the people that work at corporations and spend money on the media side and creative and what they're buying, and then you go look at entrepreneurs who have to put food on their table and what they're spending their money on, that will give you the biggest indication of what I think is going on today. And by the way, and I want to make this perfectly clear, that doesn't mean a CMO or a head of media at an agency is a bad person, stupid, or wrong. It means that's the game they're playing. Of course, if you're a CMO of a company that's internal MMM, doesn't score social, but overscores TV, you're going to allocate those dollars because your bonus is predicated on hitting your numbers, and you've got to buy a second car for your daughter. Humans are why very, very, very big businesses go out of business. And so I'm super pumped because a ton of huge businesses are about to go out of business. And not because I want that carnage, because I love the merit of the market. One other random thing, this is just more like fodder. it is scary how underpriced influencer marketing is if you deeply understand it, mainly because humans don't know how to price themselves. Some are completely out of their mind and want $20,000 a post when they're worth $300 in media, and they bought their fans, and you can tell. I love these fuckers with 4 million followers on Instagram with like 9 likes. Like, we know what you're doing, dick. But on the flip side, boy, the long tail of influencer marketing is fascinating. Getting 1,000 different people. Now, it's a lot of hand-to-hand combat. It's a lot of non-working media dollars to get it done. But in net efficiency to the business result you're looking for, it's super real. I think the best way to build any brand is deeply, deeply into truths and authenticity, right? So when I started putting out content, for example, I curse on stage. If you go look at my 2007 videos on YouTube, I get murdered in the comment section for cursing, right? Far less acceptable 11 years ago than it is today, for whatever reason. But I wouldn't waver because it was just a way, when you're a Jersey boy, this is just how you fucking talk, And so, one, you've got to be you all the way through. Authenticity is such a played out term, but it's kind of like stereotypes. They're grounded in some truths. Authenticity really matters. High volume of content, not overthinking the audience in the way that most people don't show them true selves because they're worried about losing certain people around certain things. Thus, they become vanilla, right? To me, if you're into marketing, but also a Jets fan, and also you garage sale on the weekends, and also you like root beer and sneakers, put it all out. Maybe my marketing community doesn't want the sneaker stuff, but maybe they do. And so a lot of overthinking, so volume of content. I think really being grounded in distribution of ads, like the fact that you can now again, because Facebook brought it back, target based on employees of companies. Just think about your business. You can target content based on employees of companies. So literally your video could be, hey, does your CMO know? That could be the beginning of your video. Or please make sure your head of HR knows. All of a sudden, 3 people of the 4,000 that you targeted forward that video to the head of HR. This is back to being a practitioner. So I think being grounded in the media capabilities, producing content, and the final thing I would say is make it consumable based on them, not on you, meaning video, audio, written word, all if you can. Now, if you're shy in front of a video, which I have empathy, some are, then you shouldn't do it. But if you can do video, it's the holy grail because then you can script the audio for podcast and audio. You can eventually, at first you can transcribe, but if you build up, you can hire somebody to transcribe it into LinkedIn, Medium, and Facebook posts. And then also, you know what? I put out a deck, an 88-page deck recently. I think it's titled Gary Vee Content Model. I literally just gave all my, everything I do, my secrets for free. It's out there. You should look at that. The thesis is make content and then interpret it contextual to the channels, right? So maybe a quote from this talk becomes an Instagram quote with a picture on it. Maybe this audio, for fact, this talk will be a podcast episode for me. So things like that. So it's creating content from content because you're busy and you're one person. So there's an efficiency of content production from a masterpiece of content that creates collateral that makes the volume that you're looking for more palpable than it's more documenting than creating, which, as you can imagine, makes it a lot easier because the creating part is what holds people back.
So the constant debate we have at work is what should frequency strategy be? Can you bombard people too much? Do they really get annoyed? Do they even remember your ads when they see it 20 times? What's your opinion? So
I think it comes down to it comes down to what you're bombarding them with. Can the New York Jets bombard me too much? Absolutely not. Bombard away, right? Can Milky Way candy bars bombard me too much? They sure can because I don't really like it or consider it. But if their creative is clever or utilitarian or interesting, what about, more importantly, if they gave me 4 different creative instead of 1? This question is predicated on the lack of the thing that I think people need to fill, which is more creative, right? I think you'd have, one could argue, and my team argues about this all the time too, do we just run the 13 videos that have been proven to resonate with people in perpetuity? Or do I keep creating new stuff, and what's the cadence? The answer is there's a level of both to the result. I think it's a really bad idea to keep showing people shit that they don't want. So that is for sure. That being said, there's also a conversation that should be had in our industry, which is difficult because of the technology advancements of potential reach and actual reach. Potential consumption and actual consumption. Meaning, I would also argue you can run that same Milky Way ad to me 4 times. I just might not see it the first 3 times, even though it's registered as a view. But the 4th, I may. You see where I'm going? So I think this is why we desperately have to tie this whole world into if Milky Way was testing how it was doing in Dublin at C-stores over a 1-month period, you'd get far better answers than philosophical debate. In all those hours of the philosophical debate, if my company actually spent the right amount of time in the meetings that we should be spending, I'd have 400 less employees. We're in meetings debating dumb shit 24/7 in this industry. If we took half that time and did it into doing and testing and tasting, we'd all be much further along.